sometimes we have to tell ourselves, like we physically have to speak so that it gets into our hearts and remind ourselves, you know what, enemy, you might have a plan in my thought life, but I know what's true and I know what's good and I know what God has for us, and we're going to stand firm on that and trust that.
And we are back in the kitchen with our kitchen couples. Okay, guys, we got Mike and Diane and Eric and Kara. There was a lot of good stuff in that teaching from Dr. Mike on the beach. A lot of stuff to absorb, really, on our thought life.
And I found that interesting statistic he gave at the beginning, that research, and I wrote it down to make sure I got it right, research shows that the way you recount your early years of being together, is either positive or negative memories, can predict whether your marriage will succeed or fail with 90% accuracy. That's even hard to believe.
So I guess he's just saying the pattern that you establish early on and how you think about your spouse is gonna. What was that saying we had the other day, that your life is moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts? Remember that?
Yes.
Like, that's so true.
Yes.
That's so true. Yeah.
So when we look at this, my very first thoughts were when I was dating Diane. I would sit for hours and just rub her hands.
About the same thing.
Yes, I just right out front of her house, and we just sit, and I love her hands. And she was, I say she was the first lady that I met. Like I was 19, she was 18, right? So at 19 years old, she was the first lady that I had ever met, right? And sat and rubbed. And as he was saying it and thinking through. There was something in me that wanted to compete, right, and say, if that wasn't the case for you, right, that you don't have to be that 10%, right? I mean, you can fight against that, and you can change your ways. We can change. We do have the power to change, the ability to change, and so I just really want to just encourage people, if that wasn't your situation. I mean, it's nice to have that. Oh yeah, that was beautiful, but if it wasn't beautiful, it can be beautiful, and even more beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that.
Now, you guys are still early in your relationship, married 3.5 years. And so just what are some of the thoughts you had as you listened to Dr. Mike there on the beach?
Well, thinking from our early days, which wasn't too long ago, I guess, I remember the little things that we would do. Like, I would kind of write her notes, and I would leave it on the girls' dorm door, because we went to Bible college together. So I'd leave it on the girls' dorm door, but like taped up. But after I would leave, I'd walk away, but I would kind of like sneak back and look, and all the girls are trying to like tear it open and to kind of see what I wrote.
Is it for me?
No, it clearly says it's for Kara.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it was awesome to have those words of affirmation, because I find so often the enemy finds out where you're weak, and a lot of the times it's in your thought life, and he knows where to target you, and to have those words to just remind yourself, you know what, no, he is good, and he does love me, and we are going to have a great future regardless of what comes in our path. It was great to have those words, and Eric even has a little note that I wrote him in Bible college saved in his wallet, and it's just good to help our thought life, to remind ourselves of those times and to read those notes. And sometimes we have to tell ourselves, like we physically have to speak so that it gets into our hearts, and remind ourselves, you know what, enemy, you might have a plan in my thought life, but I know what's true, and I know what's good, and I know what God has for us, and we're going to stand firm on that and trust that.
And I find it a lot easier to kind of walk life with Kara, because I know her motivation behind her actions. I know her intentions are because she loves me. The motivation, it just kind of brings out, like sometimes it brings out some areas where I don't kind of like what I'm seeing because we're in a fight or an argument, but I can always think back to that motivation and the intent, the first intention, and I know that she's coming from a good spot. I know her heart.
And your thought life, I love that. And even, the Bible talks about that. Take every thought captive. So if you start to have these bad memories or these bad feelings, say, no, that's not reality. That's just my imagination kind of going off in some direction. Reality is, like what you were saying, Eric, he's got my back. She's got my back, and we're in this together, and we're committed to each other. And we're going to make those good memories moving forward.
Dr. Mike called that a battleground. Our minds are a battleground.
Yeah.
And Apostle Paul wrote in Philippians about, whatever things are good and pure and right and holy and just, think about those things. So don't think the negative things about someone. And so you already know, Kara, kind of, the motivation behind, so you know, okay, maybe she said this, but I know she doesn't really mean that. But others might have the same situation, but they're thinking the worst of their spouse, and that's really devastating.
And that's another one of those times where we want to compete. It's time to really go. I interrupted you, but you go on. But it's one of those times that you want to compete. You want to really go and challenge yourself, because those the same Apostle Paul that said, focus on what is lovely, whatever is good report. The same Paul, right, says, what I will to do, those things I do not. And those that I will not to do, those things I do. Why am I so conflicted, right? And so there was a book called The Complaint-Free World that kind of took this in an interesting way, and it was a process. They had 4 steps they talked about, from unconscious incompetence, not going around doing and complaining and not realizing it, and moving over. But if we can talk about that process, that's the same process I think Mike is trying to take us through on the beach, to kind of say there is a process by which. So whatever process you find your process, Mike gives a great one to go through, battle, fight, be a champion in this area.
Exactly. Yeah, keep moving in the right direction. Keep moving in the right direction. I like that.
Okay, well, we have more to come in this program with the Kitchen Couples, and so hang in here, guys, and we'll be back.
Stay with us.
You want to know one of the most dangerous threats to your marriage? Your cell phone. But the truth is, our technology is killing our relationships, and it's messing up our marriages. That part is clear.